and there were different schools that had opportunities with scholarships. Howard was kind of on the back burner, but then once I went there, I had never seen so many beautiful Black women in one location. Like I was in shock, really. Like I had no idea. Wait, and they're all eligible? Like everybody, like it's open game? Like it's what? And I had never seen so many Black people of means
Mm,
that you could tell they came from money.
wow.
They were from California, they Chicago, Detroit, some from the Caribbean, some from Nigeria. We had a contingent of of students from different pockets all over the world, and I'd never seen it. And there was just something magic about walking across that campus. After I was there, I was like, that's it. The program wasn't the best. The program was underfunded. The coach was disengaged. Like there were a lot of baseball reasons to say no. But the idea that I could get out of Louisiana to a place like DC, that I could get into that environment was too good to pass up. And when I got there, I mean, I got I got way more than I bargained for, like a
Wow.
lot more.
So, I mean, I guess going to Howard then and seeing that shift, did you then continue focusing on baseball, or did you think, okay, let me revert back to music because the program itself wasn't as elite as you would have hoped?
Yes to both of those. So it started out. I had a good freshman year, and and then in my second year, got an injury,
Oh,
and that set it back. And while that was going on, sort of did what I kind of traditionally always done, sort of reverted back to music. Now, at the same time, there's something wildly unusual that didn't seem unusual to me at the time, um, because it was just the environment. But Howard was something about the energy there. And I heard Laz Alonso, I don't know if you know who he is, actor uh, from, oh my God, what's the Avatar?
okay.
Pretty successful actors in a show called The Boys, but he was at Howard at the time I was. And I heard him in a clip, I think it was from last week. I'm sure you can find it, where he said, there is something about the energy at Howard that when you're on that campus, I have no idea what it is. It's something in the sauce at Howard that makes you feel like I am going to go away from here and I cannot lose.
Wow.
Whatever it is, I'm I'll figure out a way to make it happen. I'll figure out a way in, but whatever is going on here, I've come out of here and I cannot lose. And you know, there were a lot of things going on when I was there. So let me just an example. Some of the people that I'm friends with, that we were at Howard at the same time. Obviously, Shai, myself, Marlon Wayans,
Mm-hmm.
Taraji P Henson,
Wow. Okay.
Anthony Anderson,
Wow. Yeah, okay.
Diddy,
Okay.
everybody. This guy Laz Alonso, I just mentioned. I'm probably leaving a few more off, but all there at the same time, all coming in within, a class or two from each other. Um, you know, People still know each other to this day. But
Wow.
I've known them for 35 years, and this is what was walking around the same campus at the same time. I mean, we all came in together, so there was there was a lot of go get,
Yeah.
a lot of hustle. Yeah, Puff at the time was a party promoter, um, and we're having these massive parties. Puff and this guy Derek Angeletti, who eventually took on this persona of the mad rapper for Bad Boy, and you hear him all throughout
Oh,
Biggie's
was
album.
that him? Okay. Okay.
That's Derek. D Dot, yeah, his name is Derek
Oh,
Angeletti.
D Dot. Wow.
Yeah. So they were there throwing parties and had this whole presence going on around campus. And that's how I knew who Puff was. And eventually met those guys and worked with Derek a little bit. So there was just a lot happening. It's just Howard always had that energy. So coming from where I came from
Mm.
to an area that uh, was pretty much sort of dominated by uh, you know Caucasian influence, white culture, whatever you want to call it. Um, Black people were not empowered in that same way. I stepped out of that into an environment where it was nothing but Black people in power. And I remember a pivotal moment was I had a psychology teacher that brought us into a Barnes and Noble bookstore, and this was our class that day. He's like, "We're not going to class. We're going to the mall." Okay, so we walk. Whole class walks into the mall, and psychology professor says, "Okay, we're going through the magazine rack. And we're gonna walk up and down, and we're doing nothing but looking at magazine covers for 5 minutes." All right, we did that, and then he says, "Stop." We walk away from that magazine pavilion. And he asks, "How many Black faces did you see of all those magazines?" First of all, how many were there? Oh, maybe 600, 700,000, maybe magazine covers. How many Black faces did you see? It was two. It was Oprah and maybe Denzel Washington at the time. He's like, the rest of them, that's what you're dealing with. Right? This is the world when you walk out of the cocoon of Howard that pumps you up and gives you confidence and tells you, just know that when you step out into the real world, that's what it is. It's 600 V2. And you need to understand that when you are out there navigating your way throughout America and capitalism. And that I never forgot that. That might have been my third week at Howard.
Wow.
But it gave me something, and you just saw that everything around the culture of that campus was about self-starting, was about figuring it out, was about persevering. That's just the culture there. And so, yeah, again, that was a long way to answer that.
No.
It was a completely different environment, and it definitely it that campus lights a fire under you.
Did you find it being supportive? Because I think one of the things that and I was reflecting on this before we started about, if somebody asks me, do I think, say, the black race is cursed in some ways because we are capable of so much excellence, but we're easily as receptive to disharmony and I can't not always united like say the Indian race or the Jewish race where they would say, okay, I'll pull you up and you pull me up and we start pulling each other up and we may
Yeah,
have our disagreements, but as a community we need to support each other. Even
yeah,
if you come to parts of Africa, there's lots of tribes and cultures then that we still try and don't not always get along. So I was just reflecting on that. Just so strange that this is the female we have because that was the reflection I had about an hour ago. But being
yeah.
in Howard, did you feel a sense of one for all and all for one kind of situation, or did you almost preparing you to go out in the world to, hey, no matter where you are, you do need to be united because that's the only way we can really succeed. Not just one of us, but we need to all.
The short answer is yes. That's a very that's a very nuanced subject, right? I'll unpack a little bit of it because I think it's important because it's something I rarely hear addressed this way. First of all, are you familiar with lateral thinking? Have you ever heard this?
I've heard it, but maybe not
So
too familiar with it. Yeah.
I'll give a very a brief version. Lateral thinking is where you approach a problem or a subject by first questioning the premise, right? And I'll do that. I'll start there because I think laterally about the pervasive belief that Black people inherently don't support each other.
Mm.
I believe human beings don't support each other.
Mm.
I believe that there's just as much. If you look right now, are Jews and Palestinians in lockstep as it relates to what's happening? Are all Jews in lockstep?
No.
No. Indians, half my family's Asian. There are all sorts of internal conflicts, disagreements, philosophical differences. We just advertise it. We are really into us not getting along and pulling each other down. Now, it is true. It is fact. And again, it requires a deeper dive, and it's a different podcast for us to talk about the nature of why that's the case in America. How, part of mental slavery was to create doubt.
Mm.
Doubt for me is one of the most powerful weapons, in the world. One of the most weapons of war that can be implemented is doubt. And I believe that part of keeping Black Americans in slavery was to always instill doubt about your own capabilities, about your trust in your own, about whether God thinks you are human and should be alive. So I believe that so what you have described on a deeper level has been ingrained. So I think we live with the remnants of that.
Mm.
I think we live with the remnants of haves and have not being separated amongst Black people. I think that class often plays a large part, almost as much as race, specifically in America.
Mm.
So I think there are a lot of levels to it. But then to circle around, I think that Howard, yes, at its core, support. Another big part of that sauce, I believe, is that it holds you to a high standard. Just because we're supporting you, you can't come weak. If you're going to get up here and sing, you better have been working on it. Or else, no, we're not, no. The standard is high. And I think that is a big part of it also. Support is one thing, but holding each other to a high standard and expectation level, I think is something that exists in Howard. That I don't know, maybe it's been there since the founders in the 1800s, but it's there and it's still there today. Yeah.
No, which is good.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that category.
And somewhere in between
us for even loving us, on which I did miss you really.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple of pieces.
trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No, okay, you're okay.
They don't understand what Jonas' voice meant in all spirits.
Play it.
And all these guys, they all work together.
I mean, I love all different genres.